Today's episode is going to be starring Sammy Davis Jr., aka the Don, doing a whole lot of tapping. Well, I guess I tap every episode, and it is what it is. But hello, world, it's me again. It's the Don, the Senator of the Smooth and Road, coming to you live from the 7-5 cause we global, baby, yeah. This the Mansion in the Sky podcast where we build the lamb while we drive it. We strive to become envious, which is unconquerable and influential in every single aspect of our lives. Our focus here at the Mansion is to learn lessons from current events, either global and or local, and apply it, and also stay in a mix about technology and health in a cold, calculated, and ever so changing world. So, envious ones, welcome to the home of the anti-hero here at the Mansion. Alright, I have a very interesting show for the envious ones and the new listeners and the new followers here today. Alright, we have, of course, the isms. We always start every show off with the isms, and then we go into our word of the day. After the word of the day, then we have 4 topics that we will be going into. So first one is going to be a missing informant who gave FBI details on Trump's dealings with a Dutch bank, douche bank. I don't know how to say that. We're going to find out how to say it. Found dead at LA High School. Then after that, we're going to be going from LA to Petersburg, Virginia, at a Fillmore Place, one of 11 facilities in Virginia under review after failing inspection. We're going to find out why. Then we're going to go up to Des Moines, Iowa. A Dollar Tree store goes viral. We're going to find out why. And then we're going to be talking about the FDA is in the works of putting a ban on menthol cigarettes. They've been talking about this for a while, and I think that they're finally going to do it. But we're not going to go too much into the politics as to why they're going to be doing it, but we're going to be talking about what is menthol. You know, what, why, when, how, and who. All of those of menthol cigarettes and what makes it what it is. I used to smoke menthol cigarettes back in the day. Newports, Cools, Camels, Camel Crushes, but I stopped. It was too expensive at the time. And I could also taste every single chemical in those cigarettes, and they just didn't have a good flavor or a flavor that was to my palate's liking. So it was easy for me to give it up, and then I transitioned over to Reds. And so I went to Marlboro Reds. Marlboro Reds were the most expensive and most notable brand of cigarettes that they have or had out at the time. And then I went over to Newport Reds. So when I went over to Newport Reds, at least in the area that I was living, that's when they first started to become marketed to the area. So I said, hey, I'm going to go this route. So then I went that route, and then after that, then I went and transitioned over to Marlboro Lights. Marlboro Lights got expensive, and then I went over to Pall Mall Orange because they were cheaper, and they still had the same flavor. And then after that, then I transitioned over to Maverick Gold cigarettes. So with all of that being said, I have my coffee in a Starbucks container, and I also have my vape. Ladies, if you love to dine, go ahead and send me a vape. This time around it's strawberry and cream. It's okay. Did I say strawberry and cream? Banana and cream. It's okay. I kind of like the aftertaste a whole lot better. And also, if you hear me blowing a lot, that's because I'm not inhaling. I'm just letting the smoke tickle and marinate my palate. So let's get into the isms. See none, hear none. Why do I say see none, hear none? Well, this is in direct correlation with the first topic that we will be talking about today. Missing informant who gave FBI details on Trump's dealings with a Dutch bank found dead at LA high school. Now, the reason why this is an ism is because even though you know something, you need to have a spiritual conference with yourself. Mighty, I said mighty, mind, body, spirit, soul, and all of those entities need to sit down and say, hey, pump your brakes. Is the piece of information and data that important for me to go ahead and spill it out to a third party? If let's just say that I am in fact the only other individual that, or yeah, I am the only individual who knows about this said information. Do I need to go ahead and put this out there? What is this going to do for me? Is it going to pay me back? Hell, you might even want to use it to extort or for blackmail. But is this something that's going to dirty up my reputation? Do I want to be known for that? Do I want to be known as the person who every time they get a piece of vital information, they can't hold water, let alone hold a secret? See, this is the thing about me and why now I don't have as many friends or as many associates, because my circle of friends has always been relatively small. But the reason why I've had such loyal friends over the years is because they can tell me sensitive information and my mouth is encrypted. There's an encryption code over my mouth, and I don't give up secrets. I don't give up secrets. For what? For what reason? I never understood why people just can't hold secrets, especially if someone entrusts you with it. Now, if you're greasy slime ball and that's how you live and that's how you get it, then I can understand. And maybe the person who entrusted you with that information needs to be a better judgment of character. And therefore, from that point on, until the day that somebody reads their eulogy, they don't need to entrust people with sensitive information without knowing them over a long period of time. But a lot of the women that I've dealt with, a lot of the people that I've called my friends, even associates, for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, because my mouth has an encrypted code with many firewalls over it that will not allow me to give somebody up. It's like, if you ever seen Harry Potter, in the Goblet of Fire, I believe it was the Goblet of Fire, because after Goblet of Fire was the fourth Harry Potter, the fifth one was Prisoner of Azkaban, or was Azkaban number 4, and then Goblet of Fire, and then have Blood Prince, and then the Deathly Hallows. Okay, cool. So Goblet of Fire, that book was when Dumbledore showed Harry that you have too much going on in your head. You need a cauldron where you can put your memories, and then you can come back to it. See, you gotta think of me like that cauldron. I'm full of memories, full of secrets, full of things, sensitive information, vital information that people have entrusted to me over the years. Now, I couldn't tell you why it is that they feel so comfortable telling me. But see none, hear none. I know back in the early 2000s, there used to be a stop snitching and snitches get stitches campaign. And in most of those cases, those people need to be snitched on. Because what Bernie Mac say, shoot, that's a new fool. If you think I'm about to go to jail for somebody that I don't know or don't know well or don't care about me for something that I didn't even do, hell yeah, I'm gonna tell. They had nothing to do with me. I wasn't even there. So why I'm going to jail? But when people see things, they need to learn to mind their business. And sometimes it's better to see none, hear none, and play dumb and act as if you don't know. I see things all the time. I hear things all the time. I hear how people manipulate stories that have me involved in them. And I tend to just take notes. And like I've said in previous episodes, I'm not going to get violent with you. What's the point? I'm not going to. My freedom is worth more than anybody's life on this earth. So what I'm not going to do is get violent with anybody. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take notes. I will take notes. And when it comes time for you to get a vote, if you're running in an election and you're on campaign and you're campaigning hard and you need a couple dollars, you can't call me. If you need one more vote, well, I guess I'll just be that one swing vote that I will vote either for the other party or I won't vote at all. You can't call me. See none, hear none. Sometimes if you know something, you don't need to tell it. Mind your business. Once again, this is another branch off of the tree of don't pay things or attention or money or energy or time to things that don't pay you back. Is minding the business of this person, place, thing, or idea gonna pay me back? If not, keep it to yourself. But I know that's a concept that a lot of people will never grasp. But hopefully the envious ones over here at the mansion, they understand how we come in. We all want the secrets to life. And honestly, I believe I've tapped into it. A lot of people, they want attention. They want to be seen. They want to be noticed. And that's fine. They'll do it by all means necessary. And to me, that puts you in the category of pressed. And what did I say about pressed people? Especially, nothing makes me more sick than pressed men over women that ain't paying them no mind. Simps, clowns. It's funny. It's comical. It really is comical. But that puts you, in my mind, in my opinion, in that category of pressed people that I'm going to have a hard time respecting. Because that little part of me is going to be like, but this person's so damn pressed. Or if I'm having a conversation with somebody about something sensitive, I have to look both ways to make sure that At least you're not there. See none, hear none. Just because you know something, don't mean you need to tell it. So mind your business, mind your own, because if you don't, you're going to get that right hand of the Fresh Prince, a forbidden right arm sealed with magic. And we're going to knock you out. And then also on top of that,
Why are you asking her? She ain't never made a man wait 30 minutes.
Do I smell a whore?
we're going to be saying we smell whores or hoes or smelling what's in between her legs. But yeah. Hold on. Let me put it back on me. But yeah. See none, hear none. Just because you know something doesn't mean you need to tell it. Mind your business, mind your own. Hold on as I find my mouse up here on my screen because it wants to. Well, anyways, it'll come back eventually. So the word of the day is going to be salt junk. This is coming to us through Merriam. It is a noun and it means dried salted beef. Who in here has heard of salt junk? There we go. Sorry about that. I had to find my mouse because I have
salt junk.
I have a lot of windows and programs operating one time, and a lot of things operating out of this piece of hardware right here. So it needs some upgrades, but we're getting there. Salt junk. In the past, sailors survived long voyages eating salt junk. Civil War soldiers referred to hard tack as death bells. Sailors called salt meat salt junk, meaning salted rope. Junk was originally a term for scraps or worn out rope, which could be put to various uses aboard ships. Also, did you know? Salt junk might refer to any salted junk food, but by definition, it refers to dried salted beef and has nautical origins as a name for food preserved with salt for long sea voyages. The word junk itself was used for pieces of old cable or cordage, which influenced the term salt junk for tough, chewy foods for a sea voyage. That's interesting. All right, let's get right into the show. Missing informant who gave FBI details on Trump's dealings with Deutsche Bank found dead at an LA high school. Now, real quick, I don't want to keep saying that and then, excuse me, and then not even like know how to actually say it.
Deutschmark.
Deutsch. Oh, say it again.
Deutschmark.
Deutsch. 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 Yeah, Deutsch. Well, I sound crazy saying it, but that's what it's going to be today. Deutsche Bank. All right. So I know there are words covering up his face, but just know that he looks crazy. All right. A whistleblower who worked in, I'm just going to let you guys know that this is going to be a long one. So buckle up, sit back, pour you a drink, and let the dawn work. A whistleblower who worked with federal authorities investigating ties between Donald Trump and the Deutsche Bank was found dead on Monday. Today's Thursday. Vale, we'll just say Vale B, age 46, was found dead on the campus of the Woodrow Wilson High School on the 4500 block of Norma Street on Monday. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office said Mr. B was pronounced dead at 7 a.m., according to Sergeant Rudy Perez of the LA School Police Department. He had gone missing last year, and LAPD said he was last seen on April 6, 2021. Even though he was physically missing, his Twitter account remained active. He posted a new profile picture on April 5th. Commonly, when people go missing, whoever kidnaps them will. I'm sorry, but my hairline just looks like it's just in a conclave. I don't know. Maybe I hope it's not receding. But if it is, oh well. Life. But from my observation, a lot of kidnappers, they'll keep the social medias active as a misdirection, so you can't find the person, or you don't look for him. But the man been missing. People knew he was missing, and he's a whistleblower. And this also could possibly look like a smear campaign against Trump. So who knows? Who knows? We're not here for that. We're just here to learn lessons and apply them. Because in this case, Trump is a very, very powerful, influential, big move, big boss. And most of us will never get to that level. But we can get to a level like that on a much smaller scale. And then people who are on your trail or trying to bring you down cause things like this to happen. Now, it could have been on the former president, or it just could have been on people on the outside trying to take him down. Either or. What I'm already getting from this is stay dangerous. Keep your head on a swivel. Moving along. Journalist Scott Stadman, who works for the forensic news website, confirmed Mr. B's death in a tweet he wrote. My friend Vale B was found dead today. He was 46 years old. He supplied me and other journalists with Deutsche Bank documents that highlighted the bank's deep Russia connections. It is very sad. I don't suspect foul play. Val struggled with drugs on and off. He added in another tweet that I hadn't talked to Val since January, and before that, many more months. I wish I had. LA Police Captain Kenneth Cabrera also was quoted as saying in the Los Angeles Times that authorities did not suspect foul play. In 2019, Mr. B handed over hundreds of documents to the FBI left behind by his father, Bill B, while they were investigating ties between Deutsche Banks and the former president. Mr. Stadman also revisited the whistleblower's past and wrote, Vale's father took his own life in 2014, and it consumed Vale in recent years. To see his life end so short is incredibly depressing. Hey, life is hard, man. Life is definitely hard. Sometimes it makes you want to do that. Sometimes life really makes you want to go jump off a bridge. But you got to keep going. You have to keep going. You cannot give up. You can't give up. 46 is young. 46 is young. Sure, I had a cougar that was 46. I mean, she old, but it's young. And you a guy, but I can't say I get it because I've never been in his shoes. Method Man said it the best in man, what's the show? What's the show? Black superhero Harlem. He was bulletproof. But anyways, it'll come back to me. But he said, "You don't know a man," and this is all in the Sway in the Morning interview with Method Man. But Method Man was like a neighborhood dude, and Method Man was like, "You don't know a man unless you live what he lived. You don't know a man unless you live what he lived. He can tell you everything. I can tell you everything verbatim. Hey, I have copper colored hair. I have big lips that women love to kiss on. And I have a very, very nice sculpted body that they also love to rub their jello up against as well. And you can say fine, cool, sounds good. Live vicariously through me, through my stories. Yeah. But you'll never know how that jello feels on my skin because you're not me. So, could be a case of Mr. Trump being set up. Could be a case of Mr. Trump being messy. We really don't know, but thought that article was interesting. So that's why I decided to do it. All right, moving along. Now this one is coming to us from, now we're going down south, Petersburg. So this article is definitely Virginiafied to the max. This is living in filth. So decay, garbage, bed bugs at Petersburg Assisted Living Facility. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna watch this this video coming to us through WRIC.com, ABC 8 News, and we're gonna let Deanna, and Eric speak to us, and we're gonna pause it and go through it and see what they're talking about. Hopefully it doesn't have any music. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Let's go.
For the residents of a Petersburg assisted.
Hold on.
Rotting News is taking action at getting results for the residents of a Petersburg assisted living facility over claims of bed bugs, rotting
bad.
food, and dirty.
Hey, she is beautiful. My goodness. Man. You know, totally off a topic. So, I feel like I had better standards when I was younger, which I'm readopting as I get older. But I'll say this: better standards when it comes to women. I didn't accept garbage as much. I didn't accept trash women as much because I started out getting a good quality of women. So at the time when I was in high school, so freshman year is when I first got my first baddie. I was like, okay, flat backed it, C cup, real pretty face. This is a nice standard to hold all the women that I deal with to. And I did, because they kept coming to me. They seen what I was capable of doing. And even when I had her, you already know how they do. Them girls don't like each other anyways. They competitive. They don't care. They want what other people want. Yada, yada, yada. So they kept coming. And it was easy to filter them out because I was like, I like them with a pretty face. Because your body might deteriorate, but at least I could look at you. And at the time, I was still a traditional man. Now, I'm still traditional in a sense, but I've evolved with the times. Do you get me? There is no monogamy for real. Too many options, too many incentives, and too many ideals and ideologies programmed and plugged into the opposite sex. And I don't have time for that. Cause I have achieved a reasonable amount of peace in my life that I'm unwilling to unhandle. And that's just, excuse me, what it is. I'm not giving that up, but I'm going back to that standard because that was a really good standard. That was one standard that I really loved that I had. And the thing was, I was in the streets just a little bit. Just a little bit. I was never a street person. Never that. The street people told me you're not street, but I was in the streets a little bit because I didn't know any better. But that was one standard that I really, really liked. And two, another standard that I had that I'm going to be bringing back is handshakes and daps and pounds. So, what is dap? Dap is, handshakes. If it's not about money or if it's not a networking opportunity or if the situation does not call for the palm to palm handshake, dap, or if I don't respect that individual, then they get the pound. But if I respect them and there's someone that I would like to network with, or I would like to build with, or I would like to continue to deal with, then they get the dap. Why? Because cleanliness is next to godliness. And if I was made in his image, then doesn't that make me God too? I don't know. This is not that kind of podcast. But I'm just saying. Unlearn, question everything. So I'm just saying. I like that standard. Going back into it.
Bed sheets.
I started digging when we received calls and messages that people were living there in unsanitary conditions. And now the state confirms it's investigating the facility that's already under the microscope. We want to warn you, the images you're about to see may disturb you.
I'm not even prepared for what I'm about to see. Ooh.
It shouldn't be this way, and it's basically disrespectful.
Kevin Harris flips through prints of the pictures he snapped.
Why would you even want to work there? Who? Why would you even want to work there? Come on, man. Like, I'm trying to think. I think the filthiest job I've ever worked was demolition on Virginia Beach Boulevard and Rosemont, where I helped knock down an old self car washing lot right beside the 7-Eleven, right there on that corner. And two, that job wasn't even dirty, but the Tide water fabrication, air filter, horseradish job where we had to make like 2 million air filters in 10 minutes. That job was some horseradish, for real. But why would you want to work in a place like this? Let alone live there. But why even work there? Man, you gotta have more respect for yourself.
Just unclean, unsafe.
Forcing him down a lane not of good memories, but of nightmares.
There's always urine in the closet.
Harris says he knew just a couple days into his job at Fillmore Place in Petersburg that he couldn't stay there long as a housekeeper. He started taking photos. He tells us he felt when he left, the images would help make sure someone knew about the conditions elderly and disabled residents were living in.
If their families came here, I'm pretty sure all these residents would have been removed already because of how nasty it is.
In many rooms, Harris says he saw bedding soiled and ripped, including the bed bug covers Fillmore staff were apparently using.
Oh, hell nah, man. What in the hell? Man. Cold, calculated, ever so changing world, man. It's sad. That's sad. You know, my people they're up there. Let's just say that my people are old enough to be the parents of some of these cougars that I've had around me. Let's just say that. And I'd be livid if I was paying money or if my people were in this and I came to visit and I seen this, I don't even know how I'd act. I'd lose it. I would lose it.
To keep these bugs
Whoa,
from spreading
oh my
onto
God.
residents and other furniture.
That's unacceptable. Like I wouldn't want my dog sleeping on nothing like that.
He
I wouldn't want my dog sleeping on nothing.
and other
You
furniture.
saw that?
That's unacceptable. Like I wouldn't want my dog.
Bugs from spreading onto residents
Oh,
and
hold up. You see how it was moving?
including the bed bug covers Fillmore staff were apparently using to keep these bugs from spreading onto residents and other furniture.
That's unacceptable. Like I wouldn't want my dog sleeping on nothing like that.
He and his
That's
girlfriend,
embarrassing.
who also briefly worked at Fillmore, sent these pictures and other claims of horrifying conditions to several state agencies. But state records indicate the photos weren't showing the state anything new. The latest Department of Social Services inspection report lists and shows 26 different types of violations at Fillmore Place. Multiple examples of disrepair. Sheets and pillows on beds were dirty, and bathrooms did not contain soap or toilet tissue. That was December 14th. By late February, when Harris was working there, he says nothing had changed.
I questioned it, and they were like, "Are we issuing them out of toilet paper?" And they have body washes in their rooms.
And he says in their rooms, these pictures show the amount he had to clean up in just one of them when he started the job, indicating how long this problem must have festered. Harris recalled one time finding a resident's clothes that appeared soiled with months-old fecal matter.
Maggots. That's how long it was in there. How long it was in that closet.
And nobody noticed.
No one noticed.
I reached out to Brenda Seal, Fillmore's administrator who manages
Oh, yeah,
day-to-day
she had-
operations.
oh, my
the
God.
first time she hung up on me before we were able to speak significantly.
We have 4 housekeepers.
The second time, we dug into some of Harris's claims. It's
Months? Come on, man. That is embarrassing. That ghetto at best.
It's important to note, Seal had rave reviews for Harris's work during his time there,
He was doing a great job as cleaning.
and admitted most of their other housekeepers had to be encouraged to do their jobs properly. Still, she maintains that.
We're doing the best we can.
And the claims about lack of bathroom hygiene products, she says, are untrue.
No, we've always had toilet paper, paper towels, and soap in all the bathrooms.
You say always, but there are state inspection reports that indicate otherwise, and there are pictures that
She like she in
show
her
no
40s.
toilet paper, even rod holders.
Well, some people's bathrooms because of their particular psychosis, we can't.
When I continued to press Seal about why the state didn't sign off on this reasoning, she said it's possible with resident turnover, they forgot to put hygiene products back in certain bathrooms.
Horse. Look. That's what they doing. Straight up. That's what they doing. Come on, man. Serious? Are you serious? That's absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense. Hold on. Man. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. Come on, man. Please do better. All right, let's keep going.
As for the bed bugs, Seal told me the facility is being treated weekly now, but declined to provide proof that is the case, or that they're treating often enough to handle what state records described as an infestation, with licensing staff like Harris observing bed bugs crawling on the wall near the bed by the door. So who's ultimately responsible? According to DSS, the person controlling the purse strings to fix issues, license holder Shella K. Niazi. Seal confirms she and her husband, Dr. Saifullah Niazi, run Fillmore Place. I knocked at their house and the office for their company that owns Fillmore Place, Right Way Inc. It's the same suite Dr. Niazi used for his psychiatric practice until the state licensing board suspended his medical license for malpractice for the second time 8 years ago.
The lights are on.
I left my contact information and a request for an interview at both places. They went unanswered. Without evidence from Fillmore's owner or administrator, it's unknown whether they have improved conditions there. But residents I spoke with near Fillmore the day I interviewed Harris in early April described conditions as disgusting, unsafe, and say staff is combative with them. We should, though, know something official soon. Fillmore Place has been operating under a provisional license since it failed to substantially comply with laws and regulations last year during license renewal. That gave staff up to 6 months, until June 11th, to clean up their act. DSS rules state if a facility isn't in compliance by the time its provisional license expires, it can't continue operating.
I want to say they need to go ahead and just knock this building down, just build up another building and start fresh.
Because of an active investigation at this facility, the Department of Social Services tells me there's limited information they're able to provide specific to Fillmore Place right now. For context of how rare it is for the state to refuse a facility a regular license, only 11 of the state's 570 assisted living facilities.
Yeah, nobody has time for that. You gotta pay these places visits, and it really looked like a place where people just went to basically to go die. Sadly. But to go out like that, that's cold, man. That's cold. And then you could tell the people who owned it were crooked. Medical license suspended twice for malpractice. You're running a bootleg living facility, probably stealing people's money and insurance money and social securities and all that stuff. Man, nobody got time for that, man. Nobody has time for that. Instead of reading this, we're going to go on to TikTok, if it'll pull up. All right. So, Mr. Devin Harris from TikTok, his page is called Serving You Daily. So, this topic right here is talking about Dollar Tree store goes viral after manager displays don't hire Gen Z sign. So, the synopsis of the story is that there were some cashiers in there and they had to fire the cashiers because their boyfriends were trying to basically be there and entertain while they were working the entire shift. And the manager was like, nah, you can't do that. Like, what are you? Nah, we're running a business right here. Like, you can't do that. And I'm not mad at him for that. So let's see what Mr. Harris has to say. And also go to his TikTok and follow him, Serving You Daily. He has some good stuff up there.
The sign no longer hangs in the window of the Dollar Tree, but I'm told that it read 2 young employees had quit and the store would no longer be hiring Generation Z employees or anyone born between 1997 and 2012. Instead, the sign stated that they were now hiring baby boomers only, which is someone born between 1946 and 1964, or someone who is between 58 and 76 years young. I spoke with some frequent Dollar Tree shoppers today who had differing views of the situation.
You're going to get people from, like, every group who are lazy and work hard. Like, there's no just, like, I'm sure when baby boomers were young, they were probably also, like, called lazy. And that's, like...
This may be true. But that's ghetto. I don't care if this the suburbs, Mars, Jupiter, the sun, whatever. You're working. You are working. And people think that they can just skirt around the rules. The rules are the rules. Common sense is not common. Your boyfriend can't be there while you're working. If you want to be with your boyfriend, go home. Because I would told you the same thing. I wouldn't put a sign out there and say it there, but I would told you, go home, quit, whatever. I'll do it myself. I don't have time for that. Grow up.
I feel like it just keeps going on from generation to generation.
People just need to be kind and understand other people's situations. You don't always know what's going on in somebody else's life.
You're right, Elizabeth.
It's not all about you. Be compassionate with one another.
Facts.
16 News Now reached out to the Dollar Tree. The sign no longer...
Facts. I see no issues. I see absolutely no issues with what she said. It makes no sense, man. Come on. Like, your parents didn't tell you better? Your parents didn't raise you better? All right. I'm moving. And matter of fact, number one.
Why are you asking her? She ain't never made a man wait 30 minutes.
Do I smell a whore?
Do I smell a whore? Number two, go ahead and give yourself the right hand of the Fresh Prince. What are you doing? Do better. You're at a job. You're there to make a paycheck. It might not be a lot of money, but you working. Like, be an adult. Be a grown up. Somebody had to be the grown up in the room, and it wasn't you. So I commend that lady. Normalize telling moist people the truth. Hashtag normalize telling moisture or moist people the damn truth. All right. And last topic of the day. The FDA moves to ban sales of menthol cigarettes. They have been talking about this for a while. So this article is coming to us through the New York Times, written by a Miss Christina Jewett. All right. The Food and Drug Administration on Thursday announced they plan to ban sales of menthol-flavored cigarettes in the United States, a measure many public health experts hailed as the government's most meaningful action in more than a decade of tobacco control effects. The proposed ban is expected to have the deepest impact on black smokers, nearly 85% of whom use menthol cigarettes, compared with the rate of 29% among white smokers. Now, with that, you can tell what area or part of town you are actually in when you go in a convenience store, not just by the people who are coming in and out, the patrons who are coming in and out, but you can tell by, if you look up at the cigarettes, their marketing, later I'll show you in a little bit, they're marketing or selling or advertising, there you go, to a specific demographic. In this case, Newports, even though I believe more white people smoke Newports, but we're just going to go by what the article is telling us. The advertisements for menthol cigarettes, primarily Newports, are advertised to black people and minorities. That's just what it is. To young hipsters, hip hop listeners, people in that culture. Marlboro is more so Hicks, old black people, blue collar people. Like, I know a lot of mechanics that smoke Marlboro. It's like the turquoise blue pack. I don't know exactly what it is. I didn't smoke them before. I don't really care for it, but yeah, they're advertising to a specific demographic. If effective in reducing smoking, the ban could significantly diminish the burden of chronic disease and limit the number of lives cut short by one of the most hazardous legal products available. The proposed ban would, among other things, improve the health and reduce the mortality risk of current smokers of menthol cigarettes or flavored cigarettes by substantially decreasing their consumption and increasing the likelihood of cessation. Menthol is a chemical derived from the mint plant that can also be made in a lab. It is included in cigarettes to make smoking less harsh, providing a cooling sensation in the throat. Hey, if you ask me, it hurts more. It hurts more. Excuse me. Public health experts say menthol cigarettes have been heavily marketed to black people to devastating effect. African American men have the highest rates of lung cancer in America, according to the CDC. Taking menthol cigarettes off the market is expected to further reduce smoking levels and reduce the number of young people taking up the habit. If the U.S. experience mirrors that of Canada after it banned menthol cigarettes, 1.3 million people would quit smoking and potentially hundreds of thousands of premature deaths could be averted. This is potentially an extraordinary landmark intervention to reduce the number one preventable cause of death and disease. It is a slow suicide. I'll admit, it is a slow suicide. It's just like, why? Why are you doing it? As I'm reading about this, I will take a toke of the strawberry and cream hide. The proposed ban was announced after a frenzy of lobbying by tobacco and retail interests. The proposed rule will be open for public comments for at least 60 days and then finalized with possible revisions. It is expected that it will take at least a year to go into effect. The tobacco companies are likely to contest the rule in court, which could result in a long legal battle. Of course they are. You know how much money they're going to lose out on? Erica Sward of the American Lung Association said that once finalized, the menthol ban will be the single most significant action taken by the FDA in almost 13-year history of regulating tobacco products. The proposed rule does not cover menthol e-cigarettes. The FDA is currently reviewing all vaping products being sold in the United States to determine whether to allow them to stay on the market. Sales of these products began before the FDA had regulatory authority over them. The agency has so far granted marketing approval to makers of some tobacco-flavored vapes. Some menthol products remain on the market as the agency mulls how to rule on some of the top selling devices. Public health advocates have long sought a menthol ban. When the Landmark Tobacco Control Act passed in 2009, giving the FDA the authority to regulate tobacco products, menthol was exempt from the tobacco flavors that would be banned. The exception rankled public health groups in a Carter of former U.S. Cabinet Health Secretaries who noted the 40,000 black lives lost each year to smoking-related disease. Allowing menthol cigarettes to remain on the market caves to the financial interests of tobacco companies and discriminates against African Americans. I'm not going to say I agree or disagree, but what I am going to say is that we make a lot of money and we spend a lot of money, and it's a capitalistic society. So if you're going to smoke menthol cigarettes, why not come smoke mine? The health secretaries wrote in a letter to the Senate when the tobacco control law was moving through Congress. The law left the matter in the hands of the FDA and its advisors. It took incremental steps forward. Agency advisors in 2011 said removing menthol cigarettes from the marketplace would benefit public health but stopped short of calling for a ban. 2 years later, the FDA said menthol made it easier to start smoking and harder to quit, seeking comment on potential regulation. A half-decade passed before Dr. Scott G., the FDA commissioner at the time, announced his intent to seek a menthol cigarette ban in 2018. He left the agency before achieving that goal. Last year, the agency said it would pursue the ban again, as well as eliminating flavors in small, mass-produced cigars that are popular with Black and Latino teenagers. Call them what they are, Black and Milds, man. And did you guys know that the original flavor is chocolate? Let's see, real quick. Where am I? Flavor of the original Black and Mild. Where? Let's see. Maybe this will tell us. Yep. Man, come on. Black and Mild, Black and Mild. I tried all 9. Nope. Noodles, what? Review those little tasty Black and Milds. Black and Mild flavors. That, come on, man. This ain't telling us nothing. Pipe tobacco. So cream, mild, apple. Move. Don't allow. Move. What's going on? It doesn't say. Origin, strength, mellow, filler, pipe tobacco. I'm telling you, it's chocolate. It is chocolate. It is chocolate. Blacks. And, you know, when you take out that cancer paper in there, that's what we called it. That tan paper out of there, the correct term is freaking it. Freak them out. Now, them things, when you freak that out, oh man, oh man. When I was in military school and we couldn't smoke, and I was staying on 3rd floor of Bravo Company right beside Jamil Turner from Youngstown, Ohio. He was a 4-star athlete. Haven't talked to him in a while. Well, last time I talked to him, it wasn't the best conversation, but it's all good. I was out of line a little bit. But anyways, when we were in Bravo Company, B3, we used to shut the door to the annex because we stayed on the annex. And then we would sneak out on the fire escape, freak them blacks, be out there like 3 in the morning, smoking a black. Man, you want to talk about buzz like a bumblebee. I'm talking about so buzz, you felt high. That's when smoking felt good. Like, all right, just a little bit. Moderations. The way I was smoking, nah, that was in the way. It's just lifestyle, but smoking like that, man, it felt amazing. White House records show recent meetings where supporters of a ban, including the American Heart Association and American Academy of Pediatrics, the Public Law Health Center, and others left officials with a review of Canada's experience with banning menthol cigarettes in 2017, which led to 59% of menthol smokers picking up unflavored cigarettes, 20% of the menthol smokers quitting, and nearly the same proportion continued to buy them on native reservations where they can still be sold. I'm telling you, I think this article is confirming what I felt intrinsically and what I tasted in those cigarettes. They have more chemicals in them. Because the other cigarettes are essentially more natural. Still bad for you, but essentially more natural. This is made out of a mint leaf. But the whole point of menthol cigarettes is so you avoid that throat burn. So the smoke is more pleasurable. Which means it has more chemicals in it. I could taste the chemicals in it. It was different smoking Newports to Pall Malls. Yeah, different brand. Got it good, understood. But a Pall Mall orange to a Maverick gold to a Marlboro Light all have the same taste for the most part. They don't taste like they have a whole lot of stuff in it. Them Newports, something going on with that. Something's going on with Newports. Business groups, including Americans for Tax Reform and the Tax Foundation, warned White House officials of losing federal and state dollars as much as $6.6 billion in the first year of a menthol cigarette ban. That's why they keeping it going, because they're getting so much money. I mean, everything's about money, but to see the numbers and how much, a little staggering. Not a little, a whole lot of staggering. Although supporters of the ban say it is an important step toward reducing disease inequities in the United States, the step has, to some degree, divided black communities. The Reverend Al Sharpton has sharply criticized it and recently secured a meeting with White House officials along with King and Spalding, a lobbying firm with an extensive record of advocating for RAI Services Company, the cigarette maker formerly known as R.J. Reynolds, which they have one in Richmond, I believe so. I think they do have one in Richmond. Sharpton, president of the National Action Network, wrote a letter to Susan Rice, the Domestic Policy Council Director. See, I didn't know that this was going to go down this path. I didn't know that it was going to go down this path. But I should have known once they said something about menthol cigarettes that this is where it was going to go. I should have known that this is where it was going to go. Sharpton has acknowledged that Reynolds has supported his organization for 2 decades, but would not hold up. Sharpton, president of the National Action Network, wrote a letter to Susan Rice, the Domestic Policy Council Director, saying a ban would lead black smokers to tamper with cigarettes or use unregulated herbal menthol varieties, which would promote criminal activity. What are y'all putting in these cigarettes, man? Come on now. What y'all putting more specifically in these menthol cigarettes? What y'all got going on? Sharpton has acknowledged that Reynolds has supported his organization for 2 decades, but would not say how much it contributed. Yeah, okay. Reynolds is one of the world's largest cigarette companies and maker of Newport menthol cigarettes, which it calls America's #1 selling menthol cigarette brand. Yeah. Because black people buy it. We make everything look cool. Reynolds raised similar concerns in a letter to White House officials, suggesting the FDA extend the timeline on a ban to ensure local enforcement does not roll out in a way that creates negative effects such as disparate impacts on communities of color. They don't care. We know they don't care. They want their money. They need more time to figure out how they're going to recoup once they get that right arm from the Fresh Prince. A menthol ban would impose serious risk, Sharpton wrote, including increasing the illegal sale of smuggled black market menthol cigarettes, as well as the street sales of individual menthol cigarettes. Lucy's, and in turn place menthol smokers at a significant risk of entering the criminal justice system. Hey, if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a need, if there's a demand, somebody's going to meet it. Carol Magruder, co-founder of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council, said it is shameful that Sharpton and others take tobacco funding. Because it's all about the money, man. How many times we got to tell you that it is all about the money. Cold calculated world, money. Okay? It's nothing new. We already know about Sharpton. She said that the need for police reform is real, but that the lives taken early by menthol tobacco are far greater in number. To cynically use our pain to say, oh, we want to protect you from that by leaving these products on the market that are killing you is crazy. Hell yeah, that's crazy. That don't even sound right. That don't even sound right. They know that if this gets banned, they're losing billions of dollars. The government is losing tax-paying dollars off of the tobacco. The company is losing billions of dollars as well. So, I guess the first step to it was making the smoking age way later, as in 21. It's crazy. It's really crazy, man. It just lets you know that they don't care about you. these companies that you work for don't care. If they could have a robot in your place, they would. That they only needed 8 humans to monitor 100 robots who could do your job. They would do it like that and pay those 8 humans to monitor those robots, let's say 24 hours a day, worldwide or whatever. And then send robots to go fix those robots when they get hurt or injured or malfunction or need an inspection or overhaul, or they need a parts replacement or preventative maintenance or whatever the case may be, or alteration. They don't care. They just want your money. That's it. They don't care. They know black people spend money. And they have the #1 selling menthol cigarette. They're going to say and do whatever it is. And this article right here tells us everything that we need to know about Reverend Al Sharpton. Church check-in. Hey, like I said, this is the home of the anti-heroes, man. I'm not here to ruffle any feathers because I don't care. But what I do care about is knowing who don't care about me. I at least believe I deserve that. Because why? Why am I even saying that? Because I want better for myself. It's just like some of these women that I was dealing with, and I don't deal with them anymore. I don't deal with them anymore because I want better for myself. I believe I deserve better. So therefore, I don't deal with them anymore. And if they decided that they didn't want to deal with me before I decided I didn't want to deal with them, well, hey, call it fate. Because I want better for myself. Associates that I just decided that I wasn't going to talk to anymore and deal with anymore, well, why? Because I want better for myself. People who may need help, but I may not necessarily be in a place where I can help them. And quite honestly, yeah, I do believe in karma. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Got it good understood. But can I choose who I want to help? Because maybe helping whoever it may be may affect me and what I got going on. And maybe helping people who are doing something with themselves and who actually can pay back the loan may be in my best interest. Instead of always helping out people who can't help me when I may need some help. To me, it makes more sense. And the reason I operate like that is because I want better for myself. Nobody else wants better for me, except for my real, true loved ones. But they can't come out here and get better for me. I have to allow better to come into my possession. I have to claim better for me. I have to do better for me. And going through this article and learning it, and only reason I'm going to break it down and crawl down this rabbit hole is because I'm interested. And I have an inquisitive itch because I'm an IU. I'm an inquisitive unique. I have an inquisitive itch that I want to itch and scratch about why when I used to smoke Newports, I don't even really feel like looking up Newports, but why when I smoke menthol cigarettes, it tastes like 2 trillion more chemicals were baked into them tobacco leaves and diced up and down and around and cut and packed into them little squares. Why does it feel like I could taste more in those than the regular ones? Is all I'm saying. But to make a roundabout to where I left off at, and then continuing on with the article, I believe that I deserve to know who doesn't care about me. If I'm going to continue to invest in their products, which I don't, but I'm just saying, if I just so happen to choose to continue to invest, I want to at least know who doesn't really care for me. Because I want better for myself. And me knowing who doesn't care for me is wanting better for myself. Since my generation want to hang their hat on mental health. For my mental health. For my mental health. And like I said, Reverend Sharpton, we already knew about him. So, it's no surprise there. The only surprise is how deep in he was with these people. Like, this is so random, man. This is random. This is totally random. That Reverend Al Sharpton is involved in this deep with R.J. Reynolds. The NAACP also supports the ban and said it has not taken funding from the tobacco industry in 2 decades. So they did take funding from them. Yeah, okay. Portia Reddick White. So, okay. See? Come on, man. I'm gonna finish the article, say what I have to say, and then move right into the next portion. Portia Reddick White, Legislative Affairs Vice President, said her organization rejected the notion that a menthol ban would exacerbate tensions with the police since enforcement would be focused at the manufacturing level. It's really a smokescreen, and it's misleading, and it's not helpful, she said, and distracts from the work of reducing health disparities in smoking-related chronic conditions. We see it as discriminatory to have menthol allowed on the shelf. The penultimate paragraph in this article tells you everything that you need to know. If you are a brown person, more specifically, as they like to call us, black. Black. Hey, I've experienced this all my life. Being black. I've experienced this all my life. Because I didn't choose to be unique. I'm fully aware that I'm unique. I didn't choose to be an IU, an inquisitive unique. It chose me. And that's just what it is. But it be your own ones starting the bullshit. It be your own ones. This just told you right here. One, the companies who are manufacturing the tobacco, and we're going to watch a video on how it's made later. Like I said, I conduct master classes over here. We're going to watch a video on how it's made, but the companies that manufacture the tobacco don't care about you. They say, oh, these brown people over here with black hair, some of them with lighter hair, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. They have a lot of money, and we want them to spend with us. It's just the same thing with the votes, too. They don't care about black people. They want your vote. They want your money. So the companies don't care about you. The people who are supposed to be, what the hell was that? Oh, okay. I got you. Phone just updated. Supposed to update it like 2 days ago. And I was on my game playing. But anyways, the people who are supposed to be representing you don't care about you because they're in bed with the people who don't care about you. It's all about the money. I'm on a champagne diet, spilling while I'm sipping. I encourage you to try it. It's all about the money. So I just want to know. I believe I deserve to know who could give a horseradish about me. It be your own. It be your own. And I'm extremely confident to say that this is not just a black person thing. It's just a people thing. I'm pretty sure white people, Asian people, Indian people, Native Americans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Costa Ricans, all have these issues. But since I am a black man, then I'm gonna just speak to my delegation. And I've experienced this all my life. That it be your own ones setting your ass up. And they know they setting you up. And it come different. All my life, I've experienced that. This is more confirmation that your own people will sabotage you. And that I say this, then I'll move on. What was my thought? Give me a second. Your own people sabotage you. And they'll know the whole time. They'll know the whole time that they're sabotaging you. So it is more times than not better to roll anti and be on your own team and really have ones who have your back. Because everybody's looking for something. All right, let's get into this master class. What is menthol? Give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. D&D podcast. All right. Menthol is a chemical naturally found in peppermint and other mint plants, but it can also be made in a lab. First added to tobacco in the 1920s and 1930s, menthol reduces the harshness of cigarette smoke and the irritation from nicotine. Under the 2009 Family Smoker Prevention and Tobacco Control Act that gives the Food and Drug Administration authority over tobacco products, menthol is the only characterizing flavor allowed in cigarettes in sufficient quantity to be a characterizing flavor. But almost all cigarettes contain at least some menthol, likely because of its cooling properties. Tobacco companies have relied on the soothing and cooling effects of menthol to make cigarettes more appealing to new smokers, youth, and certain black niggas, racial, ethnic groups, especially African Americans. The marketing of menthol cigarettes has been targeted at African Americans for decades. More than 18.9 million people currently smoke menthol cigarettes. Flavors, including menthol, are one of the primary reasons kids start using tobacco products. Health effects of menthol. When inhaled, menthol can reduce airway pain and irritation from cigarette smoke and suppress coughing, giving smokers the illusion of breathing more easily. However, despite what some marketing messages may seem to suggest, menthol cigarettes offer no health benefits compared to non-menthol cigarettes whatsoever. In fact, the minty taste and odor can mask the early warning symptoms of smoking-induced respiratory problems. Menthol cigarettes have also been found to increase both the likelihood of becoming addicted and also the degree of addiction. Scientific evidence also indicates that menthol smokers are less likely than non-menthol smokers to successfully quit smoking despite having a higher urge to end their tobacco dependence. I experienced it myself. High-risk groups. The tobacco industry has been marketing specifically to certain racial ethnic groups, specifically the African American community, with a focus on menthol cigarettes since the 1950s. Agendas, not agenda war. Agenda war. Come on now. Come on. It's been going on since forever, forever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever. More than 8 in 10 or 85% of African American smokers use menthol cigarettes. And they always used to say to me when I would go into stores, especially in like black neighborhoods, or it didn't even matter who was working behind the counter. And I would go in there and I'd say, hey, can I get a pack of, I wouldn't even say can, pack of Pall Mall orange shorts. They're like, you're not black. These are not black people cigarettes. I'm like, man, what's black people cigarettes, man? What's black people cigarettes? But this just goes back to everything that we've ever touched on this show, especially as far as the technology segments are concerned. This is the technology segment today. Science, health. Okay? Everything is about control and targeting groups. We live in a capitalistic society where everybody's looking for something. They're on our ass about these cigarettes. So this just lets you know. Unlearn. Reteach yourself. That's why I always say at the beginning of the show, we're building a land while we drive it. That means we're unlearning the programming that we've been indoctrinated into. Most of the times because we didn't have a choice. Most of the times because we were raised by single mothers who had to go get it out the mud because they may or may not have made poor choices and decisions. And now we have to unlearn and reprogram ourselves. And that's why we building the land while we drive. It don't matter how old you are. If you still got breath in your body, you can unlearn and reprogram. And that's what we're going to do over here. I'm with you. I'm not a martyr, but I'm with you. The goal is to become envious, unconquerable, and influential. You can't be unconquerable if you have an addiction to something that's killing you. About 48% of Hispanic smokers use menthols. About 41% of Asian smokers prefer menthol cigarettes. About half of youth smokers ages 12 to 17 smoke menthols. Their percentage is higher than about 40% of adults 18 and older who prefer menthols. Menthol cigarette use is more prevalent among the alphabet soup community at 49% compared to 40% among heterosexuals. I'll watch that on my own time. Public policy. In 2009, nah, I'm not going to read that. Actually, yeah, because we're here for it. We're here for all the smoke. The FDA passed the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act, which allowed continued use of menthol cigarettes while removing all other flavored cigarettes from the marketplace. The act called for completion of a report on the public health impact of menthol cigarettes within the first year after establishing the Tobacco Products Scientific Advisory Committee. The resulting report concluded that allowing menthol in cigarettes harmed public health and should be removed from the marketplace. To date, FDA was not formally proposed to prohibit the sale of menthol cigarettes. So while the number of people smoking continues to decrease, the presence of menthol on the market continues to be an issue. As of 2018, about 38% of all cigarette sales were menthol cigarettes, the highest rate since major tobacco companies were required to report this data. The American Lung Association has long supported the removal of menthol cigarettes from the marketplace. In April 2013, we submitted a formal petition to the FDA requesting the prohibition of menthol as a characterizing flavor of cigarettes. We continue to speak out and advocate for the removal of menthol cigarettes from the marketplace. I knew at a young age something was up. I didn't know why, because I didn't care to do the research, but I knew something was up. They're putting extra chemicals in them cigarettes, and they're killing people. They're killing people off, and they're killing people off, especially black people. It just told you, either in this one or the other article, that black people have the highest rate of, or develop in this country, lung disease more than anybody else. 1. 2, that people who primarily smoke menthol cigarettes, though they have a higher urge and desire to quit, it is harder for them to quit. Which means these damn cigarettes are more addictive, which means they're putting more stuff in menthol cigarettes. And that's why whoever is behind trying to do this has to, in some way, shape, or form, care somewhat about black people. Somebody somewhere just got some bricks in their back pocket, and they trying to back down industries to say, all right, y'all done had it up for about as long. We done had about enough of y'all. Now it's time to go ahead, and I'm finna hit you with this triple threat. I haven't put the ball on the floor yet, but I got one foot down on the court, my right foot. I might spin off you. I might hit a fadeaway. I might dribble and go to the hoop. I might dunk on you. I might pass it. You don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm in a triple threat position. That's just what it sounds like. But this is gonna be long and drawn out because a lot of money is gonna be involved in this. All right. So 8 minutes. We're gonna see if we can get through this. So this is a video on how it's actually made. How bowling balls are made. Discovery. Hold on. Well, I have the save, so it's cool. Philip Morris. Philip Morris
The process of
is
making cigarettes
indeed in
begins in
Richmond.
the field, where the tobacco is grown and harvested. There are two types of domestic tobacco, bright and burley. The unique taste of American cigarettes is a result of the blending of burley and bright tobaccos, which have different characteristics. Once the tobacco is harvested and dried, a process known as curing, it is then shipped to a stemmery, where stems and veins are separated from the lamina, the preferred part of the tobacco leaf. The lamina is sent to a warehouse, where it is aged for as long as 2 years to mellow and develop its flavor. During the aging process, the crop is evaluated to determine its characteristics for the purpose of blending. In order to make cigarettes most efficiently and economically, every part of the tobacco leaf is used. But in order to use many of those parts, further processing is required. In addition to the burley and bright lamina, which is blended with imported Oriental tobacco, there are 5 other components of the tobacco blend: reconstituted leaf, blended leaf, improved stem, expanded stem, and expanded tobacco. Let's look at each of those 5 components. Reconstituted leaf, RL, is comprised of stems, small lamina, and other small particles of tobacco recovered from the manufacturing processes. In order to be utilized in cigarette manufacturing, RL is processed into a form to resemble lamina, much like a sheet of paper. In order to make that RL sheet, the water-soluble material must be separated from the tobacco fiber. This is done by adding hot water and agitating it to separate the water-soluble material from the tobacco fiber. Once the liquid is separated from the tobacco fiber, the fiber is refined and processed into sheet form. The separated water-soluble material contains numerous compounds, all of which existed in and were naturally extracted from the tobacco material. The water is partially evaporated, leaving the tobacco solubles. The solubles are then mixed with flavorings, preservatives, and humectants, which help maintain moisture and pliability. The tobacco solubles are then reapplied to the RL sheet. The RL is dried, cut into lamina-sized pieces, and is ready to become part of the tobacco blend. At no point in the RL, reconstituted leaf process, is additional nicotine introduced. In fact, the nicotine level in the finished RL is 20 to 25% lower than the nicotine level in the raw materials. Like RL, blended leaf, BL, results in a sheet product as well. BL is comprised of burley stems and small tobacco particles recovered from tobacco processing. They are ground to a uniform size, blended, and mixed with processing aids to release the pectin, a naturally...
Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike for this. So fair use on this. I don't own this material right here. I'm just teaching a class on what is menthol, how are menthol cigarettes created, the dangers, the effects, and some of the people that are involved in the tobacco industry. I am not a martyr. I am not the face of anti-tobacco or anything like that. I could care less what you do. But like I said, I just want to know who the people are who could give a rat's ass about me and what they've done to things that I've ingested in my body. Because inquisitive minds wander.
Occurring carbohydrate in plants. When heated, pectin forms a gel-like material that binds the particles together. Flavorings, humectants, and preservatives are added, and the mixture is cast onto a moving belt, heated, and dried to form the sheet. It is further dried and cut into lamina-sized pieces, and then it too is ready to become part of the tobacco blend. The last 3 components, IS, improved stem, ES, expanded stem, and ET, expanded tobacco, are all made from tobacco components that have been expanded or puffed up. Use of expanded...
Alright, so you guys, we're not going to go through the whole thing. We're not going to play the whole video. Matter of fact, yes we are.
Products make cigarettes more cost-effective to produce because expanded tobacco has increased volume and lower weight. Therefore, cigarettes made with expanded products require less tobacco. In addition, expanded products yield less tar and nicotine because some nicotine is lost in the expansion process. As well, IS and ES are made from bright tobacco stems, which yield less tar and nicotine than lamina. Expanded products are manufactured with 2 basic processes. IS and ES use bright tobacco stems that are moistened with water and steam. The stems are then rolled and cut. Humectants are added to ES for moisture retention. Sugar is added for flavor. The ES is dried in an expansion tower to its final moisture. IS is made by steaming and then drying to produce expansion. ET uses cut bright and burly lamina with sugar and humectants added, and then it is impregnated with liquid carbon dioxide and expanded in a tower much the same as ES. At this point, reconstituted leaf, RL, blended leaf, BL, improved stem, IS, expanded stem, ES, and expanded tobacco, ET, are complete and ready to be blended with a burly lamina, bright lamina, and oriental tobaccos. Never at any point in the processing of any of these components has any additional nicotine been introduced. The components are then transported to the cigarette manufacturing facilities. Depending on which brand of cigarette is to be produced, the amount of each component to be used is selected by computer based on leaf department formulation. The bright and burly lamina, RL, BL, and oriental tobaccos are individually conditioned with steam to increase moisture and temperature to reduce breakage. The leaf separation process is continued in the feeders and air separators. The bright and oriental tobaccos are mixed and a leaf dressing is applied, consisting of humectants and flavors. The burly lamina has a similar flavor spray applied, including humectants, sugar, chocolate, and licorice, and then it is re-dried. An additional specific burly dressing is applied. These components are then blended together with the RL and BL according to the formulations for each cigarette brand. That partial blend is steamed and then goes to the cutting line, where it is cut to a uniform size and sent to a rotary dryer to reduce and control the moisture content. At this point, IS, ES, ET, and bright burly oriental small lamina are added in brand-specific formulations, and the total blend, all the tobacco that goes into a cigarette, is now complete. The tobacco then goes to the flavor cylinder, where final flavorings are added using denatured ethyl alcohol. Denatured alcohol is alcohol which has been rendered undrinkable. It must be used in this process because these flavorings will not dissolve in water. Alcohol denatured with nicotine sulfate and methylene blue is the only denatured alcohol approved to be used in tobacco processing by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Nicotine in the denatured alcohol contributes less than 1/1000th of 1% to the nicotine content in a cigarette. In fact, there is less nicotine in the final tobacco blend and indeed the final cigarette than existed in the tobacco materials before they were harvested or processed. Once the final flavorings are added to the tobacco, it is put in short-term storage. The total blend is then fed into cigarette-making machines, where it is rolled in paper and a long, continuous cigarette rod is created. It is then cut to a specific length, depending on the brand, and delivered to the tipping machine where the filter is applied. The finished cigarettes are then packaged, sealed, and ready for shipment. And that's how cigarettes are made.
Got it? That's how cigarettes are made. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike. But if I do, I'll just have to cut it out. But it's all good. Why a national ban on menthol cigarettes? I think we already kind of went through this. Menthol also has bronchodilatory properties, allowing deeper penetration of smoke into the lungs. Excuse me. The safety and scientific validity of this study is the responsibility of the study sponsor and investigators. Listing a study does not mean it has been evaluated by the U.S. federal government. Read our disclaimers for details. Clinicaltrials.gov. Safety and asthma. Brief summary. Recent large clinical studies have demonstrated the interest of a NAMA therapy and management of asthma when compared to compound with a very long-lasting bronchodilatory effect when compared to reference treatment in non-clinical models and in COPD patients. See, I don't really know too much about this, and I don't have the time to go as deep down the rabbit hole as I would like to. Because if I had the time, then this would mess around and be a 3-hour show. But I do want to go down this. I do want to go down there, but I'm not going to be able to. I don't have the time. But just know, it's telling you, man, these cigarettes are way worse for you than regular, than regular non-menthol cigarettes. Menthol is added to cigarettes by manufacturers to create a cooling sensation that reduces the harshness of cigarette smoke. Menthol also had bronchodilatory properties, allowing deeper penetration of smoke into the lungs. I believe the fiberglass. Cooling sensation and reduced harshness of mentholated smoke leads consumers to perceive those cigarettes are posing a lesser health risk compared with non-mentholated cigarettes. But the truth is that by making cigarettes smoother, cooler, and easier to inhale, tobacco companies have created a product that has a higher addiction potential and is harder to quit than. Come on, man. Come on, man. I knew it. Look, all right. This is how I really could tell that menthol cigarettes were off. First of all, I stopped smoking menthol cigarettes in 2013, 14. Like, yeah, I smoke Lucy's, or yeah, I would get a pack every now and then. But like, if I had all the money in the world, I was not going to get a pack of Newports or a pack of Cools. When I finally stopped, it was 2014. And that's when I went to Reds and then to Lights. And now vapes. And I don't even vape because I am day 5, no cigarettes. But how I knew these cigarettes were off, because when I used to smoke weed, after you smoke weed, hit you a cigarette or a black, and it boosts your high and get you higher. And you can also, your senses can either be, some senses are delayed, but other senses are enhanced. Like taste, touch, feel, sometimes sight. Well, I mean, you have 5 senses, really 6 senses. 6 senses, energy, being able to feel it. The 6 senses, right there, that third eye, you can see, hallucinations, control it, things of that nature. I think I'm gonna go into that on one of these shows. But anyways, smoking a weed, smoking a Newport after, and I'm like, after a while, it didn't make me sick like I wanted to throw up. Well, yeah, actually, drinking And then smoking on Newports, I can't tell you how many times it made me puke because of them cigarettes. And because I poisoned the shit out of myself, but the cigarettes too. The cigarettes helped to poison me, but I could taste every single chemical that was going into my body when I got high. Now, when I was sober, wasn't high, system clear, I couldn't really taste it like that. But every single time I got high, especially that first initial time when I didn't say it out loud, but I said it in my head, I was like, something about this cigarette's not right. And I know there's no such thing as a diet cigarette, but something's not right here. This is off. Then after that time, every time I got high and I smoked, like I said, for the umpteenth time, I could taste every chemical in them cigarettes. And that's by design. Those cigarettes are designed, menthol cigarettes are designed to be more addictive than menthol cigarettes. Why? Because they are designed for easier access into your lungs and your bloodstream. As in, easier to ingest the nicotine into your bloodstream. Therefore, potentially, hopefully, making you a lifelong customer. And then smoking it in the car, smoking it in the house, smoking it around your girlfriends, your partners, whoever, them catching secondhand smoke, and them potentially becoming customers as well. Oh yeah, and this article is coming to you from Harvard.edu, just in case you didn't know. Let's see. A recent analysis of adult smokers in the FDA's population assessment tobacco and health study found that menthol smokers had a lower probability of remaining abstinent from cigarettes compared to non-menthol smokers. That same study has shown that menthol cigarettes are the preferred cigarette. Okay, we already done went through that. We already know. Now, how I got put on to specific parts of town where specific groups of people, whether it be in black areas, whether it be in white areas, whether it be in Little Armenia, whether it be in Koreatown, whatever they smoke or whatever these people who want them to smoke, they're going to advertise that there. They're going to give you coupons. They're going to send their representatives out there to say, hey, buy one, get one free. How I got put onto that, and that was made common knowledge to me, was through one, it was a gas station off of Tidewater Drive going towards downtown in Norfolk, and stopped at the gas station to get a pack of Newport Reds. And this is one of the times when they were like, oh, these not black people's cigarettes. And I was like, hey, question. Like I walked out the store and I came back. I was like, hey, question. And this was after I had worked at 7-Eleven. So the 7-Eleven I worked at was in Hampton. It was a Langley 7-Eleven. It was a corporate store. And they were primarily selling Marlboro So 75% of the stand behind me was Marlboro. And then at the bottom was Newport's. This gas station, 75% of it, 70% of it was Newport's. And at the bottom was everything else. And I asked her, I said, why is it like that? To, not the representative, but the lady behind the counter. And that's when she told me that these cigarettes are specifically aimed at specific groups. Newports are aimed at black people. Marlboros are aimed at white people. And whoever else they decide or have polled and surveyed to know and see and understand what they like in their smokes. And they sell to those people. And they put them in your stores. And that's just what it is. Same thing with these social media applications that we use every single day. They collect data and they keep you coming back. If they can get you hooked and they can get your money, then they won and they good and they don't care. All right. It's important to point out the bans on menthol cigarettes are not new. In 2017, Canada was one of the first countries in the world to introduce a national ban on menthol cigarettes, as well as most cigars and blunt wraps. Rellos, Backwoods, White Owls, Royale wraps. We didn't like the Royale wraps. And honestly, last time that when I was actually smoking, which was probably about 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I was using joint papers with the filter. I don't smoke. I could pass a piss test right now, flying colors, and be fine. I could have passed one 2 years ago and been fine. It has no place in my life. Oh yeah, so Ethiopia, Senegal, Uganda, Nigeria, Moldova, Turkey, and the European Union have implemented similar bans. That's why they don't smoke menthol cigarettes. I never knew that. I really never knew that. That's why they don't smoke menthols. Like, I had a homeboy that I grew up with. His name was Mentor. And he was Albanian. Now, that country's not up here, but Albania is... All right, so like you guys know, OBS Studio likes to pause up on me, so I didn't get too far, but this next portion, I believe this whole article came from Professor Bassett. Hold on, let me scroll down. No, it didn't. This portion of the article, this whole article came from a Mr. Chris Sweeney. This portion of the article was written by Professor Mary Bassett, Professor Bassett. And she says, the tobacco industry identified menthol cigarettes as a product that they would specifically market to the African American population. If you look at the advertisement over time, you can absolutely see menthol's position as the black cigarette, and it is really shameful and put their lives disproportionately at risk. In a recent op-ed I co-authored on the subject, we noted that there's this persistent perception in the United States that black people prefer menthol cigarettes, but in fact, that is a result of racist marketing, not luck. That is not this channel. This is a non-racist race channel. It's just hosted by a black man. But since the article is touching on it, we gonna go there. These are lethal products. Cigarettes, menthols in particular, each year kill 45,000 black people, a population that is already saddled with higher rates of heart disease, asthma, and other conditions that smoking can exacerbate. Smoking also makes people more vulnerable to worse C19 outcomes. As we know, the pandemic has disproportionately harmed black communities. I am pleasantly surprised that the FDA is taking steps to ban menthols, but I hope it acts swiftly and gets a timeline for the ban in place. The tobacco industry doesn't flinch, nope, and it will surely mobilize efforts to attack the science and legal merits of a ban on menthol cigarettes. Yeah, because they know black people get money and spend it on anything. So they want a piece of that. Finally got a piece of the pie. All right. Professor Howard Koh, professor of the practice of public health leadership. It's the next portion of this article. On my very first day as U.S. Assistant Secretary for Health in June of 2019, I never will forget joining a delegation in the White House Rose Garden to support President Obama as he signed into law the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act. The law allowed the FDA authority to regulate tobacco products for the first time ever. So it was not only a stunning and historic day for public health, but an unforgettable one for me personally. As part of an enactment, the law banned flavors in cigarettes, such as candy, bubblegum, or chocolate, but specifically exempted menthol. I wonder why. $6.6 billion of taxpayers' money, or taxes paid on smoke. Who want that smoke? That was left for another day. So the new menthol ban the FDA just proposed has actually been at least 12 years in the making. As a physician trained in multiple fields, including cancer, I have witnessed far too much suffering and dying caused by tobacco products, which are projected to cause 1 billion deaths worldwide in the 21st century. 85% of black smokers use menthol cigarettes. Studies show that menthol cigarettes increase initiation of smoking, decrease cessation, and make it harder for black smokers to quit compared to non-black smokers. This menthol ban will save an enormous number of lives. One study estimates that it could prevent more than 600,000 deaths by 2050. Importantly, this ban will address health inequity issues that arise from the tobacco industry's long history of manipulation of flavors as part of targeting youth and minority populations. They go after the young, they go after the weak. This is not part of the article. They go after the young, they go after the weak. Make sure you read or listen to on YouTube How to Outwit the Devil. He tells you. You get people in a hypnotic rhythm, aka bad habits. And it's hard to break them. But you get them while they're young, or you get people who are in compromised positions and you manipulate them and you do with them as you please. Or you get drifters. It's all on purpose. And never mind. I need more sound bites. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my shoes back on. And
Well, I respect your ambition, Willie, but you got to have vision.
yeah, man, if y'all could put that ambition and vision into something else instead of getting people hooked on menthol cigarettes, especially people who look like me, ain't no telling what we could accomplish, but I get it. I told y'all, the people who are listening to this on you guys' platform, I told y'all, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I'm not a martyr. I just want to know who doesn't like me. And I want to know who wants to sell to me and why you want to sell to me. That's it. And the evidence is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Despite so many challenges, tobacco control can save lives. It has been an honor to be part of these efforts for several decades, now in Massachusetts and nationally. During my time at the Department of Health and Human Services, we created and implemented the department's first ever tobacco control strategic action plan entitled Ending the Epidemic. In the oh my goodness, what in the world? I was out of country. In the era of the new Affordable Care Act, the plan helped unite HHS in leveraging FDA's new tobacco control authority. We were proud to see some progress in denormalizing these products and their use, but there is still so much work to be done. The Menthol Ban, which includes flavored cigars, does not apply to e-cigarettes. For example, the tobacco industry maintains that cigarette use is a choice when in fact it remains a devastating addiction. The FDA's proposed menthol ban is an overdue step forward in a long and difficult history of tobacco control. One of my colleagues who's old enough to damn near be my granddaddy, but he's too damn cool, man. He's too damn cool. Shout out to you, Mr. Carl. Shout out to you, man, for real. He always tells me about the tobacco curse. And I will be doing a show on the tobacco curse. I might even do a documentary on it, but I see now it's real. It's real. Menthol cigarettes are more addictive than non-menthol cigarettes by design. We just watched a video on how they make them, where there's even more evidence on why. Moving along. To who? We already know to who. Minorities and smoking of mice and menthol. The targeting of African Americans by the tobacco industry. Man, it's so much here. I don't even know where to start. All right, so a history of marketing menthol to minorities. The first mentholated brand, Spud, debuted debuted in the 1920s, the Roaring '20s, where the flappers was out there with them long filters on they menthol cigarettes. Them hoes are probably bad too. Marketed by the Axton Fisher Tobacco Company, Brown and Williamson's Cool brand became the most popular menthol brand in the 1930s and 1940s. By the 1950s, I gotta keep an eye on the time, the tobacco industry targeted menthol brands, most notably Cool and R.J. Reynolds, Salem, to African Americans in the black press. From the 1960s onward, Lorillard Tobacco's Newport increased its market share to become the #1 menthol cigarette and by far the leading brand among African Americans. R.J. Reynolds, Salem, and Moore, and Philip Morris, Virginia Slims, and Benson and Hedges are the menthol brands that were also promoted to African Americans. Through corporate mergers, Newport, Salem, and Cool are all brands that are marketed by Reynolds American, the U.S. subsidiary of British American Tobacco. Sometimes you wish you didn't know as much as you know, but unlearn. Here is a advertisement. If you look down here at the fine print, I can't zoom it in, but down here it says R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, Winston-Salem. Rich tobacco taste, menthol soft flavor, try Salem filter. 2 Negroes. Clear, come on, man. Newport, come on. A whole new bag of menthol smoking. Filter King and hundreds. Man, I remember them old heads, man, going into the store like, hey, let me get the King pack of a soft King pack of Newports that was just like this. It was a soft pack, and you ripped the top, you ripped it just like on the side right there, and they have it right here in their pocket, and they take it out and they hit it. They hit the junk. So let's say this is a pack right here, and they hit it like that, and the cigarette just slide out. Man, and then the cigarette would slide out just enough, just like that, and they just grab it. And, man, I can't see down there. All right, let's keep going. Cools right here. Penguins for cool. Now you got 4 chances to get cool. Don't blow it. And look, let's be real. Smoking does look cool. It does look cool, but it's not cool. It's not. It's whack. Suicide's not cool, man. This is a slow suicide right here, man. It is. It really is. It really, truly is. Let's see. What is this? It's so much up here. Let's see.
Announcing Spring Filter Cigarettes, the kind of cigarette which air conditions the smoke for the lightest, cleanest, coolest taste possible today.
I can't hear it.
Spring. Look, an amazing Announcing Spring Filter Cigarette, the new kind of cigarette which air conditions the smoke for the lightest, cleanest, coolest taste possible today. Spring. Look, an amazing electronic process creates hundreds of microscopic openings in the paper of each Spring Filter cigarette. Through these openings, clean, fresh air flows into the tobacco and air conditions the smoke as it passes through, so you get the lightest, cleanest, coolest taste possible in smoking today. Suddenly, it's spring, and everywhere you look, happy smokers are enjoying a new kind of filter cigarette. Spring Filter Cigarette, the cigarette which air conditions the smoke in the smart white king-size pack with blue and green stripes at popular price. Spring Filter Cigarette.
Just a wisp of menthol.
Selling the hell out them damn cigarettes, man. Spring cigarettes. The filter that air conditions the smoke. All right, let's see what else they have up here for us. These are just advertisements on these white people right here. Newports. I'm telling you, they rarely ever advertise Newports to anybody else. She bad. Virginia Slims. Yeah, Virginia Slims was definitely a woman's cigarette. Marlboro Lights. But Marlboro Lights are not that color. Not the ones now. When did this come out? Man, I can't even see that. This is definitely old, like 50s. Salem. Salem's is a woman's cigarette, man. Or is marketed to women. Every time you see it in the movies, you never see guys smoking these cigarettes. You always seen women, fine sisters. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I never seen white women smoking Salem's. Or those skinny cigarettes. Hardly. I've seen some. But I only seen older women, like grandma age, like over 60s, 60s, 70s, smoking Salem's. Or black women, older black women, smoking Salem's. And more times than not, I've seen black women smoking Salem's. Newports, Anthony Davis, Negroes. I ain't gonna lie, this is dope right here. This is dope. Negroes. Sheesh. This is 2001. See? Black people. Camel Crush. Man, we done already went through that. We already know what's up. Recent studies have failed to settle. We already know. That's old. That's old news. Dying for a menthol. We've already gone through that. So did we just go back around? Yep, we did. We already know. Let's see. So this is taking us somewhere else. Should we go into this? Do I need to go into this? I mean, Professor. Yeah, this was last article that I had pulled up, and I already knew this was gonna be a long one anyways. So I'll go through these tabs as I see fit, and then I'll end on that last one. The power of tobacco marketing, using mass media to promote indiscriminately. One of the unpredictable, untoward efforts of the removal of cigarette advertising from television in 1971 was the shift of some of the cigarette makers' marketing budgets to minority-owned newspapers and magazines. Few magazines have been aimed exclusively at an African-American readership, but the two with the largest circulations, the Weekly Jet and the Monthly Ebony, both published by Johnson Publishing Company in Chicago until the company was sold in 2016, contained cigarette advertisements in nearly every issue, and neither ever published an article focusing on the impact of cigarette smoking in the African American community. A similar situation existed in the approximately 100 African American oriented newspapers in the United States and Caribbean region in the later half of the 20th century. The result was that a substantial portion of the African American press never published news articles or editorial comment anti-ethical to tobacco use and promotion. I know I butchered that. I murdered that, so you can tell me up for that. To the contrary, an advertisement in Ebony in June 1992 for Nabisco Foods Group, a subsidiary of R.J. Reynolds. Oh, I'm assuming R.J. Reynolds. RJR, Nabisco, makers of so R.J. Reynolds. Saluted the magazine's publishers, as well as 7 other African American entrepreneurs, as role models to our nation's youth and as inspiration to all of us. Man. In addition to utilizing these forms of mass media to promote their products to all areas of American society, billboards and signs in sports arenas and stadiums were also commonplace. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Until the 90s. So let's see. Yeah, we used to have, I know, my brother James, he had the Marlboro hat. And I think I had a Marlboro jacket. And I think I gave it to him. It was either a bag or a jacket. And I gave it to him. Oh, okay. Winston. White boy. So this is one of the few times that they've advertised to everybody. But you notice everybody in here is young. Then, of course, they're always promoting, hey, buy one, get 50,000 more back. And we know they target the women just like they target everybody. So don't think that we're leaving you out, because we're not. And Latinos, y'all are niggas too. All right. So we're gonna pick through this and get up out of here. The extremely racist history behind menthol cigarettes, and just letting you know that this is not a race channel whatsoever. It's just a channel that just so happens to be hosted by a black man. All right. It's marketization towards black Americans. That looks like fiberglass or crack. Tobacco cigarettes have been a part of the American culture for over 90 years. Specifically branded menthols. Along with it, lung cancer rates have increased in the past 40 years, more prominently in black men, who are 30 times more at risk. The tobacco industry has targeted African American communities in its advertisements and promotional efforts for menthol cigarettes. The origins, I've already kind of gone through that. From 1933 1956, menthol cigarettes were marketed as special throat baby cigarettes, to be smoked when the user had symptoms of a cough or cold. That doesn't even make sense, man. Y'all selling people a bill of horseshit. Despite the FTC suing tobacco companies for false advertising, it didn't stop companies from marketing their product any differently. However, tobacco companies realized they needed new strategies to sell their minty product. So then that's when they went to ebony and all the... I'm telling you, menthol cigarettes are regular cigarettes. It's just who they're selling them to. I guarantee you, they did the research on the group of peoples that get hooked to things the easiest. I guarantee you they did the research. Man, I work in an industry where attention to detail is not only necessary, but mandatory. Every chemical, how to deal with the chemical, how, if you get it on yourself, how to deal with it, do's, don'ts, indifferences, human factors, things you do good, things you don't do, physics, everything. To a science, broken down to a molecule. From everything that I read, hella politics. It's not a political channel. Hell of angles to get in with anybody, really, but targeted audiences, targeted groups. Lots of money, millions, billions of dollars put behind this industry and marketing, advertisement. And the one thing that like I said, I don't have time to go deeper down the rabbit hole, because this is where I would peel back another layer, is the research. How did they get to the conclusion that let's market menthol cigarettes to minorities? How did they get to that point? Marketing to a vulnerable population. Didn't I just say that earlier? The book, How to Outwit the Devil. Control. Everything's about control. If you can control, you got leverage. You can't develop in a special, let's see. Yeah, I've already touched on that. Marketing to a vulnerable population. Beginning in the 1940s, the tobacco industry began developing a special focus on the black population. After World War II, cigarette companies noted that more black Americans were migrating away from rural areas. And by the 1960s, more blacks had moved to the inner cities. A growing community in urban areas increased the immediate need for specialized products such as for hair and skin. More companies, black and white owned, began producing products for this particular demographic. Tobacco companies saw potential in marketing to an already vulnerable population, especially coupled with segregation. Menthol cigarettes took their place next to cheap liquor that was predominantly sold to poor and colored communities. By 1962, cigarette ads in magazines tripled in publications such as Ebony, which carried twice as many menthol cigarette ads than in magazines such as Life. Despite initially being marketed to white clientele in its earlier years, by the 1970s, the minty cigarette was a choice for black Americans. By 1976, nearly 60% of black smokers under 35 preferred cool cigarettes. Even with the lower overall cigarette usage than whites, black men had higher chances of getting lung cancer due to mentholated cigarettes. In the late 1970s, rumors sprouted that cool cigarettes contained fiberglass. Another rumor claimed that the K in cool signified the Ku Klux Klan and that the brand was a ploy to ultimately harm. Alright, man, whatever. I believe before any of that, it's the money. So, whether that's the case or not, before we even get there, if that's the case, that's not what I'm about. It's about that money. They forced this on black people. They put it in our face. They forced menthol cigarettes. They forced the most addictive products. It's a choice. You choose to smoke. But they forced this on black people. They put it in our face. Exploiting culture. During the civil rights movement, cool cigarettes became synonymous with youth and rebellion among the younger population. When its growing popularity in the 1950s, jazz music started being associated with the menthol cigarettes. Dizzy cool. It's cool, motherfucker. From 1975 to 1984, Brown and Williamson brought together musical acts with the likes of B.B. King and Miles Davis and founded a cool jazz festival, all while heavily advertising their cigarettes. They had 12 events before the brand began to decline. In 1954, socialites Elaine and Lois Lorillard founded the Newport Jazz Festival in Rhode Island. It still goes on to this day. Luis is distantly related to Pierre Lorillard, the founder of Lorillard Company in 1760, the oldest tobacco company in the U.S. The company produced the Newport brand cigarettes, hence the name and location of the festival, until its 2014 accusation by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco. So R.J. Reynolds is like the Amazon of the tobacco company. Underhanded generosity. The tobacco industry created an association that's still apparent in the black community today. In June of 2020, Altria, the parent company of Marlboro, donated $5 million to black organizations at the peak of the Black Lives Matter protests in an effort to diffuse the growing scrutinization between tobacco companies and their considerable role in pushing for tobacco usage. Oh my goodness, man. This shit's so crooked. This shit is so crooked. This is so crooked. That's why I start my podcast out the way that I started. In a cold, calculated, and ever so changing world. This is crooked. This is hella crooked right here. You force it on my people. You force the most addictive tobacco on my people by putting it in our face. Then you open up donated $5 million to black organizations at the peak of the Black Lives Matter protests in an effort to diffuse the growing scrutinization between tobacco companies and their considerable role in pushing for tobacco usage. So you get Black Lives Matter, $5 million in allegedly hush money, which I don't know. I don't remember the company, but their colors was olive green and black. And I remember when I went out to LA and saw Kendrick at his championship tour. Kendrick and all the Top Dog Entertainment. There was a stop smoking campaign that they had out there. Could have been part of it, but that sounds like hush money, allegedly. And I would have hushed up for $5 million. I would say, hey, I'm gone. I ain't got to worry about me. I ain't making no videos, none of that. Richard Joshua, the founder of R.J. Reynolds, now a subsidiary under British American Tobacco, was noted to support Winston-Salem University in North Carolina beginning in 1891, which is a historically black college or university. Since then, American tobacco companies have constantly given financial support to historically black colleges and organizations for over 100 years. The industry has invested over $25 million. From the 1960s to 70s, cigarette companies prioritized supporting and donating to civil rights movements, which includes organizations such as the NAACP and the Urban National League. Tobacco companies were the first in the U.S. to be indiscriminate when hiring colored employees, even for executive positions. Still just smells crooked. It smells crooked. It don't smell right. It don't smell right. It smells like I shot a man. They can't catch me. And then I show up at his funeral and hug his mother and bring her flowers. That's what it smells like. A dying market. The Master Settlement Agreement in 1998 implemented that tobacco companies would indefinitely pay the government to cover the cost of smoking-related illnesses. The amount is contingent on the number of cigarettes sold annually. Nearly 20 years after the agreement, about 100 $19.5 billion has been paid. Tobacco-related illnesses claim up to 45,000 Black American lives each year. The popularity of cool cigarettes began to diminish as overall cigarette usage started to decrease with anti-smoking efforts. However, since 1993, Newport became the leader in mentholated cigarettes. By 1999, they claimed a 7.5% share of the approximately 50 billion cigarette market. The company released campaigns such as Newport Pleasure in an effort to appeal to younger populations, which have been proven to be effective. In 1990, R.J. Reynolds spent up to $7 million to launch a new brand to be marketed specifically to Black Americans, Uptown Menthol Cigarettes. Almost immediately, a coalition of tobacco control activists accused the company of marketing a poisonous product to the Black community. The product has since been abandoned. And R.J. Reynolds' analysis stated, had Blacks across various strata been asked to respond to this issue, a cigarette targeted specifically at Blacks, undoubtedly researchers would have discovered or been reminded of the fact that an underlying distrust exists among Blacks for institutions, governments, industries, and companies controlled by whites. A white-owned tobacco company targeting a cigarette to Blacks, a product widely accepted as harmful to one's health, would undoubtedly surface that inherent distrust inevitably described as institutional genocide. That just gave me chills. That just gave me chills. Sheesh. Can I read that one more time? And R.J. Reynolds' analysis stated, had Blacks across various strata been asked to respond to this issue, a cigarette targeted specifically at Blacks, undoubtedly researchers would have discovered or been reminded of the fact that an underlying distrust exists amongst Blacks for institutions, governments, industries, and companies controlled by whites. A white-owned tobacco company targeting a cigarette to Blacks, a product widely accepted as harmful to one's health, would undoubtedly surface that inherent distrust inevitably described as institutional genocide. The tobacco curse continued. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and end this out. The isms. All right, today's ism was see none, hear none. Just because you know something, don't mean you need to say it. Nobody likes to know it all. Mind business, mind your own. All right. Today's word of the day: salt jump. It is, hold on, wrong. Let's make our wrongs right. All right, salt jump. So now, is dried salted beef or it can be it's also known as Death Bell. Sailors call it salt meat, salt junk, meaning salted ropes. Junk was originally a term for scraps of worn out rope, which could be put to various uses abroad, aboard ships. Salt junk. Alright, then the first topic that we ran into was a missing informant who gave FBI details on Trump's dealings with douche bank found dead at an LA high school. That is in correlation to today's isms, alongside anything that a lot of us have experienced. Also, going back to the ism, another inspiration for the ism is that people have always entrusted me with their sensitive information, and my mouth is encrypted and has an infinite amount of firewalls over it because it's not my business to tell. If you feel so comfortable that you can tell me and entrust me with sensitive information, then I will not give that out. That's just not how I operate. Alright, running into the next topic, we spoke upon a living facility, an assisted living facility that was in decay, garbaged up, dead bugged up in Petersburg, Virginia. That's just south of Richmond. It was a horrid situation. Then we ran into Dollar Tree store goes viral after manager displays don't hire Gen Z signs. Good for you, sis. Keep up the good work. Especially if they got their boyfriends up at the store. Them Negroes need to be working. And Mr. Devin Harris assisted us with that. So please go follow. Let me pull him up. Please go follow Mr. Hold on. Please go follow Mr. Devin Harris on TikTok, serving you daily. He assisted us today. And then last and certainly not least, we spoke upon the tobacco curse. But more primarily, we touched on the FDA is working on banning menthol in cigarettes because menthol cigarettes are more deadly than non-menthol cigarettes. They're more addictive than non-menthol cigarettes. They're aimed and targeted at the youth and minorities. And even though they make so much money, the entities that back and support companies that deliver this product are all about the money. It's never been a world about morals. Nobody cares about your morals. That's why I've never been well liked. Because I stand for something. I told you guys, I'm not a model. I'm just an IU. I'm an inquisitive unique. And I want to know why you don't like me. Or I don't even need to know why you don't like me. But I want to know who doesn't like me. And it's not even that they don't like me, but they want my money. And I want to know why y'all want my money. And the reason that they want my money is because they think I'm weak and they think I'm vulnerable. They think my people are weak and vulnerable. And you know what? They may have a case for some of us, but my people are not weak. My people still gonna buy your products. They still gonna do what they're gonna do. They don't care. Me, I'm done. I've been done. It's day 5. I'm done. I'm not going back. But outside of this very, very vague and controversial topic, we answered the question of exactly what menthol is, the health effects of menthol, the high risk groups. We even watched a video on how cigarettes are made. Then we answered the question why there is a national ban once again. Excuse me. Then I provided some examples of we already know who they're advertising to, but where they were advertising to. Ebony. And excuse me. In Jet magazines. It's always about the money. It's not a moral world. It's a cold world. Get yours and get the fuck out and run. You can't save everybody. That's not what this is about. So, nothing is by accident. This is just more proof that nothing is by accident and everything is by design. And that second, this article right here that we did touch on, thank you to Mr. Sweeney and Professor Bassett and Co. for your contributions to today's show. I greatly appreciate you guys. We also learned that there are other countries in the world that have menthol bans, as in Canada, Ethiopia, Moldova, Nigeria, Uganda, I want to say Turkey. And a couple others. Yeah. And hey, straight up, like I said, this is not a race baiting channel. I don't even like watching those type of channels. I essentially make content for myself, but I know there's people who are just like me, who need and want and desire content just like this. But I'll let you decide for yourself. But I've always had a sneaky suspicion about menthol cigarettes, more specifically Newports. And my questions have been answered. I'm just flabbergasted, especially at the underhanded generosity of them giving so much money back to these schools of people who they've deliberately poisoned and taken their money. And I get it. I understand. This is just my opinion, and I understand. You go, you get your money. Because at the end of the day, smoking is a choice. You can choose to smoke, you can choose not to smoke. But I provided the evidence. You go and you form your own opinions. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the Don. And this is the Mansion in the Sky podcast, where we build a lamb while we drive it. Remember to always strive to become envious, which is unconquerable and influential in every single aspect and area of your life and every single thing that you do. The focus here at the Mansion is always going to be to learn lessons from current events, either global or local, and apply it, and stay in the mix about technology and health in a cold, calculated, and ever so changing world. So, envious ones, thank you Thank you. Signal out. I'll see you next time.